How's my head position?
Looks great.
Okay. We're rolling?
You bet.
Okay.
Ready, camera one.
3, 2, 1.
Take one.
At one point, out of a morbid sense of curiosity, I asked my GP what my life expectancy would be. And I seem to recall the numbers 9 to 14 months. Well, all I could think about was that wasn't going to be me. From the first day I was in there, I was determined to beat this thing. And 4 years later, I'm even more determined. I'm more determined than ever that...
Oh no!
No!
After 4 years?
After 4 years, I don't have anything to say.
Ready on 2.
Roll tape.
You've got speed.
Dr. Peter, take one.
As it turns out, I had no shortage of things to say. I feel quite privileged to have had the opportunity to say them. It's given me a chance to practice medicine in a very unconventional way, and I hope I've been able to help and educate people through television. It's been a lot of fun doing the diaries, quite rewarding. A lot of changes have taken place over the last 2 years. And when I look back, I realize just how many significant changes have been captured on tape.
In 1986, Peter Jepson Young, a Canadian physician, was told he had AIDS. Unable to practice medicine because of the debilitating effects of his disease, he began a weekly segment on a television newscast in order to combat prejudice about AIDS and homosexuality. For many, Peter Jepson Young was the first gay person they had ever known, and certainly the first to be stricken by AIDS. Over 2 years, viewers grew close to him and accepted him into their lives. He became affectionately known as Dr. Peter. The following program is made from the 111 weekly broadcasts of Dr. Peter.
In September of '89, I noticed a subtle change in the vision of my right eye. I saw the ophthalmologist that week and was diagnosed as having a viral retinitis. The virus is a very common one, something most people have been exposed to, and it stays in your system. If you have a normal immune system, it's not a problem. But when your immune system is screwed up, as is mine, the virus can manifest itself in several ways, one of which is an infection of the retina. Within 6 weeks, I lost the vision in my right eye, and then realized there was a problem with my left when I started tripping over the garbage can in my office, and then on one occasion walked into my secretary's desk. She looked up at me and asked me if I'd been drinking. The infection was diagnosed in my left eye, and I was started on treatment in December. The treatment is a toxic medication which has to be given intravenously on a daily basis. It's not a cure. It doesn't kill the virus. It just prevents it from growing. It perhaps bought me a bit of time with my vision, but I saw the ophthalmologist last week, and he told me that so much of the retina is dead that the nerve which connects the eye to the brain is dying as well. What I see now is a small area of central vision in my left eye, like a small window that's getting cloudier and smaller all the time. When I was first diagnosed, the concept of going blind was too unreal, but it's an eventuality that I have to face now. I grew up in a middle-class family, spending my teenage years in this North Shore neighborhood. These are the playing fields across the street from the high school I attended. It was a conservative, academically geared high school, not a welcoming place for a gay teenager. In a similar fashion, I didn't feel that I could discuss my sexuality with my parents. For me, I'd been gay since I could remember. It was just a normal part of who I was. But I knew that they wouldn't take that view. They're a product of their generation and the cultural stereotypes they'd been fed. It was a large part of my life I couldn't share with them.
And I got to be 29 years old and had never dated women, and they didn't ask. I wouldn't have lied if they had. I'd spoken before about the trouble that I was having with my vision and described it as looking through a small window that was getting smaller and cloudier. Well, that window's gone now. In other words, I'm completely blind. About 2 weeks ago, I woke up one morning and didn't know it was sunny outside. I had to call a friend to find out what the weather was up to. I no longer distinguish night from day. I don't need to turn the lights on in my apartment. It's not blackness that I see. It's sort of a heavy gray, like being in a very thick fog that you know isn't going to clear. When I was in hospital, there was a period of time during which it seemed uncertain whether I would be getting out of there at all. My mother, who is a quietly religious woman, had concerns that I didn't have any beliefs in God, and that because of this I was going to be very fearful about dying. I explained to her that I did have beliefs and that I wasn't afraid of dying. I've never bought into organized religion. I've always felt that a sense of spirituality is a much more personal thing. I didn't really have a formulation in mind of what it was I believed in, but I knew that I had some beliefs. I grappled with this over the next 6 months, and it seemed to all come together for me on one perfect spring day when I was at Long Beach on Vancouver Island with some friends. It was warm, the surf was pounding on the sand, and I decided to take off on my own for a while. I stood there looking around and thinking, how much better can it get than this? I wanted to be able to recapture this moment for future reference, because I knew that I would be facing some difficult times. I also wanted to get a sense of being able to draw in some of the forces that were around me to help me heal myself. So I climbed up on a big rock and lay down in the sun, closed my eyes, and this is what I came up with. I accept and absorb all the strength of the earth to keep my body hard and strong. I accept and absorb all the energy of the sun to keep my mind sharp and bright. I accept and absorb all the life force of the ocean to cleanse my body and bring me life. I accept and absorb all the power of the wind to cleanse my spirit and bring me strength of purpose. I accept and absorb all the mystery of the heavens, for I am a part of that vast unknown. I believe God to be all these elements and the force that unites them. And from these elements I have come, and to these elements I shall return. But the energy that is me will not be lost. But a year and a half ago, I was diagnosed as having Kaposi sarcoma. I just had a few spots. They weren't a problem. This is what a typical KS lesion looks like. It's a different sort of cancer. It's generally an oval, purplish spot on the skin, and usually this causes the cosmetic problem. But I had a patch on this leg. It was like a little bruise. It was more diffuse than the other one. And I guess in the past few weeks, since I've been blind, it's become more aggressive and has spread to cover a larger area. And what it's doing is it's blocking the fluid flow from the tissues, so I can push my fingers into my shin and make a dent there. It also is a little painful. Feels like shin splints. I had radiation treatment on it a couple of weeks ago. It's going to take another 8 weeks or so to see the results.